Hey, welcome back to the Cam and Joe Show, episode 17. How are you, Joe?
Really good, man. I'm off. It's Christmas break, and I've been playing a shitload of video games. Played Halo today for like 5 hours. How are you doing?
Nice. Making those little kids cry.
Dude, I'm pretty good. Honestly, for closing in on 40 man, I was impressed with my video game tutelage skills, rather, and also felt kind of bad about myself because I was like, there's got to be something more productive I can be doing. But I kept playing, and it was a very enjoyable time.
Nice.
What's going on with you? What's the latest and greatest in your world?
Just got like a half day tomorrow, and then I'll be off for like 6 days. So pumped for that.
Holidays is a coming, and by the time this airs, Christmas will have passed, but it'll be literally right after Christmas. So
yeah. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates. Today we're going to be talking about the Twitter files or Twittergate. What's going on?
2022.
So, have you been following this story or revelations the last couple weeks, Joe?
So you and I were talking, and I was just joking about how Elon Musk tweeted that he was going to step down from Twitter if people voted him out, and they did, and he's literally stepping down. And I just saw Mr. Beast asked to be the CEO of Twitter, and Elon Musk replied, "It's not out of the question," or something like that. But just funny shit like that. And then we kind of got on the topic of this, and a lot of this stuff is like mind blowing. And I'm glad that I'm going to learn a good chunk of it, because then I can react like naturally to it. Because what I've heard is pretty egregious.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? He's wearing so many hats of Tesla and SpaceX, and I'm sure other things going on behind the scenes too. Like, he's very busy, doesn't have a lot of time to do that. Obviously, whoever they pick to put in place will probably be more of just like a figurehead, right? Like, just like our president, They don't
think they'll do that?
They don't really make decisions. They're just there for decoration.
So do you think they're going to have Elon Musk will still be running shit behind the scenes, but they'll have someone else running the day to day? Or
yeah, I wouldn't say running it, but I'm sure major decisions he'll have to sign off on and approve.
Okay, steering the direction, but then have a day-to-day operator basically.
Even before buying Twitter, he's very active on it. So
he's got to be the most active rich person. One of the most active famous people, actually.
On social media, I would agree with that, by far. So he's, I don't know, a lot of people are complaining, but I'm most of the changes that have happened seem really pretty awesome as somebody who's been on Twitter for 5 years. So
I'm not a big Twitter guy. I use it for looking up stock stuff, and what the fuck else do I use it for? That's really it. Or if I need information and it's I need to the most up-to-date information, I'll check Twitter a lot of times, because people just fire it off on Twitter almost I think Twitter has info before Google does. Yeah. And so sometimes, especially if you need it, I need this info now, it's really good.
That's my thing. News and crypto.
Crypto for sure.
For sure, yeah. Crypto Twitter is really big. So, all right. Well, we'll dive right into this. We'll just kind of we'll go through the I think there's been 8 so far as of 2 days ago.
Yeah,
8,
I keep seeing hashtag Twitter files, and it's yeah.
So basically, the first one that came out was how and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. This was probably 2 years ago or so.
Yeah, what's the story on that? I live in a news silo. I'm Googling it right now.
So from my memory, this was before the 2020 election. I think a few months before this happened, this basically started to come to light. And the background is so Hunter Biden is President Joe Biden's son. And, he had this laptop. Well, on this laptop, he had a lot of interesting videos and documents and information on there that you probably wouldn't want to get out. And supposedly, no one really knows the story of what happened, but from what people piece together and think what happened is I gotta be careful what I say, because this is hearsay, and I also don't want our channel to get shut down, but his laptop got wet somehow. People think it ended up in fell into a pool. So he took it to some computer repair place or whatever for some dude to fix it, right? But then he never came and picked it up once it was fixed. I think he forgot that he took it there. So the dude who owns the repair place or whatever, I don't know, he looked at it or something and realized, there's a lot of really inappropriate stuff on here, and contacted like I think it was New York Police Department. They came, they got the laptop. Supposedly the things that they saw on there were so horrible that some of them that have been like veteran homicide detectives and things like that were like vomiting, like sick to their stomachs.
Really?
Then eventually the FBI came and confiscated the laptop and basically went to like a black hole and disappeared. And rumors of the stuff were coming out and what was on it. And part of this was that Twitter basically suppressed any information that was coming out about it, because right before the election, like it would have basically really hurt, Joe Biden's chances for the presidency. So they suppressed tweets and blocked people who were talking about it. Mostly like, people had large followings. And then anytime if things started trending, they basically just like shut those down.
Wait, what the fuck is this photo? What is in his back?
There's a lot of him like smoking crack, buying crack.
What?
There's also,
dude, I gotta share this. What the fuck?
Images with him with like underage women. There's
what is this photo, dude? What is on his back?
Oh, I guess that's like the Fingers Lakes in upstate New York or something like that. So he got them tattooed. Like if you looked at a satellite imagery of it, that's what it looks like.
Is that his fucking house? Where is he?
I think so. That is his ass crack.
It's so big.
He is butt naked.
He looks
rich.
like he's on crack right there. That's crazy,
no, there's
bro.
One of the videos from the laptop, which you can find this on the internet, is he's at a crack house buying crack and he's counting the grams on the scale and has like a gun and shit.
Oh, dude, here's one of them smoking a cig.
So,
oh my god,
there's through people.
Why would he take these photos?
Exactly. Anyway, so we won't go like dive deep because I don't want to like this episode get canceled or whatever. People can go check out that stuff. There's by now, like I'm pretty sure like all the stuff from it has been like released out or whatever. But anyway, that got all covered up. Twitter was involved in that. That's basically kind of what the gist of the first Twitter files was. And the way the Twitter files is working is like these documents are being given to like specific individuals. I think they're like media-ish types that are on social media. Mm-hmm. And basically, so I think they have time to go through and kind of build, and then they'll release like several tweets in a row. So you can go and find these tweets and dive deep into each one of these. And they're being spread out to different like people each time, just because it's a lot of documentation to go through. The second Twitter files was Twitter's secret blacklist. So teams of Twitter employees built blacklists to prevent any of those people from posting. And the stuff that people were posting that they were making blacklists were for any election fraud stuff, mostly like any conservatives or kind of right-leaning people, as well as a big one is the COVID-19. When the vaccine was coming out, there were several doctors and like people who came out against it and things like that. And those people were all silenced and basically like delisted off of Twitter.
The vaccine agenda was pretty bogus. I can see, and I'm not saying this is fair, why an organization that was at the time super like liberal biased would want to censor information that would benefit Trump, right? Regardless of your political or, if it was Trump favored or conservative focused, then I would expect them to do the antithesis or the opposite of that, right? I'm not saying they should. I think it should just be unbiased, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was the second thing? I just totally freaking better. The
secret blacklist that they basically created to start banning people that went
the
against
vaccine thing, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that was also one of like the and I'm pretty centrist when it comes down to it, but like if there was a huge political agenda that became like a thing when it came to like the vaccine versus non-vaccine, like people didn't give a fuck about the science. It was literally like conservatives were like, no, the vaccine's bad. Or liberals were like, no, the vaccine's great. And then that alone became like almost like its own like it was like fighting over like pro-life, pro-choice
Yes.
It was like pro-vax, anti-vax, you know? So I think that was a fucked up one, though, because that has like, dude, I gotten COVID twice. I've fucking vaccinated and boosted. Like, so I'm pretty sure that, you know, it didn't help.
Well, and since they released it, now as more information's been released and come out from the CDC, from the FDA, from Pfizer and these companies, like literally admitting this stuff as more documents come out. Because I don't know if you know this, but initially they basically like sealed all the documentation from the clinical trials. It wasn't going to be released for like 80 years.
Oh, dude, they were going to release like what, like something like 100 pages a day or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would have, by the time like it all came out, no one would have fucking cared, or would have mattered.
Everyone would be dead. It would be like 80 years from now. So it would be.
Dude, this is 2 days ago where FDA confirmed this. Yeah. I think this literally just came out.
Yes. Talking about the blood clots.
December 19th, Pfizer blood clots. FDA confirms.
Yeah, the FDA confirms that the COVID-19 vaccination as a side effect does cause blood clots, which there's been a huge uptick in like people dying of heart attacks, like brain aneurysms that are all directly related from blood clots.
That's
like
fucked up.
Pro athletes, there's been like a surge in tons, like high school age kids that are literally just keeling over in the middle of games and like dying of heart attacks. It's these blood
high school
clots.
Kids?
Yes.
Dude, the Pfizer's the worst one, bro. Like,
that are playing like basketball and football and stuff like that and just like keeling over. So
I justified getting it. I got the J&J one because it was it's called inactive viron or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially like it's like the way they make a vaccine, like the right way, or the way that's been done forever, like with the flu shot, is they take a dead virus and they shoot it into you, and then like it builds up immunity. So the Janssen one, it's a similar virus, and they just inject it in you. So in my mind, I was like, okay, it's more traditional. It's probably safer. Of course, then that thing came out with the pregnant ladies getting like blood clots and stuff, or women that were on birth control, right? So that sucks. So even that's not safe. But the Pfizer one, I was like, there's no fucking way. Like mRNA is like not even like, it's so new. Even the guy who invented it was like, we don't know enough. Like you shouldn't
what this will do to you.
Experimental science.
Yeah.
On a mass scale.
Hold on one second. I got to turn the heater off.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Like this hum in the background.
I don't even hear it, but look at those pants. Classy.
Oh
dude,
no.
How many pairs of
everyone saw my pajama
lounge pants do you have?
Like 3 pairs.
I
just wash them like every 2
I
days,
so rarely see your lower half, which is kind of hilarious.
Oh, sometimes I have jeans on and stuff, but it's freezing today, so that's why I have like 2 layers of pants on.
We got the heat cranked up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's cold as balls.
I just want to I should have said this at the beginning, but basically I'm not saying like either way, right? This episode is not to convince people like right or wrong on the sides. I'm just sharing like the information.
Yeah.
That's currently
I'm happy
to
voice my opinion, but I agree.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to change anyone's mind or sway anyone. Yeah. I'm just reacting.
And I'll share my opinion as well too, but I'm just throwing that out there. So basically like a lot of doctors who came out and like biologists and things like that from the start were saying had concerns about these kind of things. Those people were basically kicked off of Twitter. And you'll see like by the time me and Joe are done going through this at the end, a lot of this stuff that was blocked and things like that, like people have died from this. People have like been severely, not just the COVID-19, but like, people's lives and things like that. Like people who make a career living off of social media from the money coming in, and then they get canceled across the board. Like, what are they supposed to do? You can't like restart those overnight.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, essentially, if you've spent all this time creating this persona and you get like deleted from Twitter, that definitely would take a big hit at your. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not fair, but it's like,
and it goes hand in. Oh, sorry.
No, I'll say it's like.
Cut you off.
I don't want to say. I'm trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't sound like me saying they should know better, because like you should be able to just have free speech, right?
Oh, you'll see. This was all intentional. They knew 100% what they were doing.
It's tough. I'm just not I'm not political, and so I would never speak out like this. But we do need people like that, and their voices need to be able to be heard. It's just then how do we filter that through the noise? So sorry, I know we're trying to cover all the files, and I'm like interjecting a lot. So what's the so 2 was the COVID cover up? What's 3?
No, I agree with what you're saying. And just to come back to that point real quick is like, for all the people that are like, oh, trust the science, that sort of thing. If the science is good, why is it being hidden for 80 years? Eventually, a federal judge overturned that, and they had to release the documents, and that's how this stuff has started coming out, that like these side effects exist and that sort of thing.
And if they want to do a trust the science thing, then you need to have a third party company do a round of like testing, not like Pfizer going, yeah, we tested it, it's good. Like,
yeah, the people who stand to benefit the most from it being approved were the ones doing the trials to get it approved. So
yeah, it's
conflict of interest.
100%.
So the third one was basically 3, 4, and 5 all have to deal with how Twitter started building their case, and then eventually like banning Trump when he was president off of Twitter.
I thought that was funny.
I guess technically he wasn't president anymore because he got kicked off like 2 days after Biden was sworn in, but
he definitely was like inciting, like, I don't want to say violence, but he was inciting a lot of like hatred. I think I'm not a Trump guy, you know, like I'm not a Biden guy either. I'm not a fan of either, honestly. Like it's whatever, but I could see why they would pull Trump, because he was just, I don't know, man. He's such a jackass sometimes, and I think it was causing a lot of issues. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. If somebody is causing problems or doing things that's inciting violence or hurting others, then yeah, you have to, I have no problem with that person's like account being removed off social media, right? But
why did they so badly want to get rid of him? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There were many things that were other accounts that were doing just as bad or way worse things of inciting violence, and none of those accounts got banned. So that's how mine is like fair across the board. If you're gonna single someone out for a certain behavior and punish them, then like everyone else who's doing that similar behavior should also be punished the same way.
Yeah,
so that's where I started having the problem.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So back to, let me see. I think I have some screenshots on some of these to just give you a little bit more.
Dude, looking up this shit, by the way, takes you down a serious effing Twitter rabbit hole.
Yes.
I could see why people like Twitter, because I did the Twittergate and Twitter files, and I mean, it's a feed I've never experienced before. I'm in like another world right now, man.
There's a lot of like independent, I wouldn't call them journalists, but like people go and do research and post their stuff. So it's very interesting to, learn like a ton of new things. And if you don't have the time, like some of these files are like crazy long. The summaries that people do are really good as well too. So basically like Twitter executives created justifications to ban Trump. So they started changing policies at Twitter that would make it okay for them to ban him, basically. And then they still couldn't find like the tweets he was tweeting out. Like they basically were like, hey, you get 3 strikes, you're done. The stuff he was tweeting, they couldn't find. Like there was internal communications that came out between the employees where they're basically like every tweet that he did, like the entire company is like analyzing, literally having meetings about them of like, is this bannable offense? And they would be arguing like, nah, we don't think it is. And they were just like, well, we don't give a shit, ban him anyway, type of thing. So eventually that's what happened.
Why though? Like, where was this intense pressure coming from? Like what? That's what I don't understand. Like,
so the U.S. government sending taxpayer dollars to Twitter with the FBI was the ones putting the pressure to cover this up, because part of the stuff that comes out is like the FBI colluded with Twitter to help sway the 2020 and 2022 elections.
Because like, even though I know Trump is like loved by many, hated by many, but he's also like very, very anti play ball with like all the bullshit that happens on Capitol Hill, right? Like I think he's the guy who was like, I'm not going to fucking do favors for you and like you be in my me be in your pocket, essentially. Kind of is that accurate? Or I mean, I don't know. I had heard that and I read about that and I was actually shocked by it, but it would make sense that they were like, we cannot have another 4 years of this guy because he's like not letting us like run business as usual.
the stuff I've seen is he was not friends with China, and China has a very heavy influence in our government.
Really?
There's a lot of money coming from them, and a lot of
good chunk of our debt, if not like
a lot of money to the politicians, and he basically was like not friendly with them. So I think there was a big push from China to also not want him reelected.
Wait, why would he not be friendly with China?
I don't know, man. Just getting like
I feel like
deep
the money
stuff,
things
and it's
would be good for him. You know what I mean?
So hard to even know what's true and what's coming out.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, who the fuck knows what actually is going on?
Like, I don't know if people know this. I think it was in the I forget the 2000 and I forget whatever the National Defense Authorization Act that Congress has to reapprove every single year. It's basically like the money that they're allotting for the budget for the like Department of Defense. It's like $700 billion or something like that. We basically spend more on defense than like the other top 20 countries combined behind us.
Yeah. It's like us, Russia's like half or less. And then the next country is just like there's no other countries doing that.
Yeah. And it's just like every other bill that comes out where it's like the omnibus bill or whatever, isn't it like 5,000 pages or some crap they're trying to ram through in one day to vote on with all the pork and crap that's sitting in there. Well, anyway, inside one of these bills, I think it was during Obama's presidency. I forget which year, but it basically in there was after World War II, they had put in some law that's like basically illegal for the U.S. government to like put out propaganda to U.S. citizens.
Dude, no, Russia's not even. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt. Look, let me share this with you really quick.
No, it's all right.
Look at this fucking chart, dude. All right, so is it sharing? Come on, internet, love me. Look at this. United States, huge. China is not even a third. India, UK, Russia, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Japan, South Korea combined. Those are
so now it's up to
the
800
nine
billion.
largest, I guess. What the fuck is this? Stay informed. Captcha. I don't want to stay informed. That's bananas, dude.
And I just want to let
insanity.
People who may be unaware, that 800 billion is just the publicly admitted money that's funded to the Department of Defense. The slush funds and the black ops money and things like that, that's not in the budget. So a lot more than that. So
that's bananas. So let's just round it up. It's $1 trillion.
Probably.
That's insane.
So in that document or whatever that they do every year, that bill they pass, it basically removed that stipulation that the U.S. government cannot do propaganda against its own citizens. So that means the news media, anything that's released, they can literally just straight up lie to you, and it's legal because they made it legal in the bill. So
how do they do that? Are they essentially saying that news is entertainment?
They just took that stipulation out. It used to be a law, and they were just like, yeah, we remove it. So,
I mean, the dudes who own the news stations are like the most powerful motherfuckers in the world. Like, the families that like were like,
there's only like 6 corporations that own like all the news in the entire world.
Yeah, it's like like Viacom. I know like the Hearst family. Don't they own like the news? Hearst family.
But have you ever? Oh man, we're starting to get in conspiracy now. But have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird?
No.
These are declassified documents that came out from the CIA. I think it was in the I don't know, 80s or something. These documents got declassified or 90s. But basically admits that the CIA had people at each news agency outlet who would filter what's allowed to be released and what's not.
You know what I wonder is if they had they tapped one guy, or they got a guy to create a whole fake resume and apply for the job and get the job, and no one knows, and he's a psyops guy, and he's in there working his way up, and he's becomes the producer, and then he's you know what we should do? We should do a show on da-da-da. And they're like, wow, yeah, Greg, that's a great idea. And he just psyops or they literally just go,
well,
listen, you're doing this.
These people were put in their positions. They didn't have to work their way up. They're basically like the head editor and things like that, so they could be the gatekeeper of information. And they claim, oh, we only did this like in the 60s. We don't do that anymore. Yeah, fucking right.
Well, if it worked, why would you stop? Here's the thing.
Especially with
time and time again, they don't stop. They just get better at not getting caught.
Correct.
With anything too, if it's working, you just got to figure out a better way to do it.
And now they got caught that they were doing it with Twitter. And if they were doing it with Twitter, they probably did it everywhere. Look at how many people got canceled off YouTube who were speaking out against these same things that they canceled. I just can't people's
believe
channels.
That like no one, like nothing, no one does anything about it. Like, I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like, I'm so consumed with my life that like I don't care enough to do anything. It's not personally affecting me, which is shitty because I should care. And I know that's probably how most people feel. But it's like, why is this nothing? You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be something. I don't know.
Nothing will probably happen to any of this, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be
FBI basically released a statement and was like, this is conspiracy theories. Like yesterday, like this is all nonsense. No, there's all the fucking communications proof right here from y'all. In the company,
it's
like
so
internal
messed
documents,
up, bro. It's crazy because it's like everyone feels, and that's what I think where it comes from. It feels powerless. Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, there should be a system of accountability. It shouldn't fall on you and me to like have to police it. This could go into a whole nother dimension, but
yes,
I want to get to all the files.
Okay.
So 3, 4, and 5 were essentially surrounding the fact that they were they're trying to get Trump kicked off, right?
And then 6 and 7 were basically the FBI, how they were based on the internal communications colluding to like help sway the public for the elections.
Okay.
And a lot of this because Twitter was very, not only at the top with Jack Dorsey or whoever I think was
he was the CEO.
But a lot of the employees were very left leaning. So
100%, yeah.
All these policies impacted the right being silenced and things being pushed out for the left. Like Facebook or something I'm pretty sure they're like being sued or something. They, for the 2020 election, donated like $400 million worth of like ballot Dropbox boxes to be placed around cities, which is illegal. And the stuff, like a private corporation cannot be involved in like election stuff.
Oh, right. Because that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you look at a lot of the things that are happening, and like even with FTX, look what just happened with Sam, SBF dude, whatever his fuck his name is. He donated, what was it, like 40 million or something to the Democratic Party for this last election. He was the second largest donor behind like George Soros. So all this corruption and things like that is all going towards the Democratic Party.
Soros donated to the Democratic Party?
I think he was the top donor.
Get the fuck out.
He's also the one who funded like all the Black Lives Matters and Antifa and all that. So, anyway, which I don't know if you saw, SBF got extradited to the United States, and then he just got released on $250 million bail, which he claims
like that.
He claims he had like $100,000. He didn't have any money. So how the fuck did he pay for that? Oh,
well, you pay what, 10%?
Well,
that is $25 million.
Supposedly his parents put their like, I don't know, wherever their house is near Stanford, like in Palo Alto, it's worth $4 million. That's the collateral on the $250 million, which is not 10%.
No bail. Way, not even close. I mean, unless there's a bail bondsman who's willing to accept that, maybe.
When you've greased that many palms, bro, people got money for you. You know what I mean? You get out. But the thing is, they're like, he's on house arrest. I'm like, yeah, how long before he's in the wind or before he dies mysteriously or whatever the fuck before he names names?
Because it's a financial crime, he'll probably be able to either get away with a slap on the hand. Oh, you know what though? It's pretty massive.
Yeah, and
it doesn't feel as dirty as the Madoff thing though, for some weird reason. And since crypto's so unregulated, there's probably some shit that his attorneys can find like crazy loopholes.
Maybe the co-founder of FTX, I guess, is already like doing plea deals, and the gal that was the head of the Alameda Research, I forget. the CEO of Alameda Research, that chick, I guess they're both already doing like plea deals and rolling over, naming names. So
I would. Are you kidding me, bro? Like, first of all, I wouldn't commit a crime at that level, but I'm just saying it. Don't commit a crime with me because I'll rat on everyone. I'm not going to fucking jail, dude. Like, I'll get facial plastic surgery and move to Venezuela and like start a new life. Like,
there you go.
I'm fucking rolling on everyone, dude. And I was watching The Wolf of Wall Street, and just a total side note here, and he like could have gotten out, and then he fucking keeps doing his dumb shit and then has to roll on everyone so he doesn't go to jail forever. But those finance guys, dude, like they're not made for like hard time. Like they're gonna roll. Their attorney's gonna get them the best plea deal. They're gonna do like I don't know. I feel like because even like the Enron guys, how long did they go to jail for? Enron.
I think
one guy fucking blew his brains out.
I think Ken Lay got the longest sentence, but only like 4 of them win or something.
Damn, he actually went to jail for 24 years. Sentence. See how much time he did.
So the smartest person was their chief financial officer, like their head accountant. He left the company, I forget what it was, like 5 or 6 months, or conveniently like a week before like the window of him like being able to say like, I didn't know this was happening. He's like the largest land owner in Montana or Colorado or something like that. He's worth like $400 million or something. He didn't get in trouble at all. So let me get this straight. The person who was in charge of all the finances when the company was cooking their books the whole time didn't know anything about it and conveniently left before the whole house of cards fell down.
That dude's smart as hell. Good for him. And he walked away with 400 million bones. Skilling's out. He did 12 years. So he's sentenced for 24, did 12. Wow.
But like, there's a lot of corruption going on in a lot of places. They just got caught. It's just like college football. When a team gets busted, oh, that school is paying players. Well, how dare them? Like, no one does that. Yeah, right. Every fucking top school does that. That's how you attract talent. Like, it's just like anything else, man. Like, all these places. I mean, look at JP Morgan just got busted for like the 3rd time again, like for the last 30, 40 years, manipulating the precious metals market, the price.
Yeah, people just want to
just keep doing it.
Bad,
yeah,
dude.
and they just keep getting like their fines are always like 1% or 10% of like all the money they made doing that illegal shit. So it'd be like if you robbed a bank, you got $1 million and they're like, you have to pay us a $50,000 fine and that's it.
They should just make you pay all the money back.
Yes, and then fines on top of that.
Like the
company should go under.
I don't know if I think it's Finland. It's Finland or Norway. When you get a speeding ticket, it's a percentage of your annual income.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
There was a guy who got like $168,000 speeding ticket. He was like a shipping baron. So it's like, to your point, these companies, and I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't think I'd ever do a crime that would lead to jail time. But if I knew I would just get a slap on the wrist and like, are these crimes like fucking people over like hardcore? Like, is it like ruining people's lives? Like manipulating the metals market. Is that like, is someone like, I don't know. Like, where do you draw the line? I guess is the question.
See, but that's not the only things being manipulated. Literally everything in our life, daily life that we go about is 100% everything is controlled and manipulated. It's not just one thing. It's just here and there. You'll hear things and they'll be like, oh, that was just a one-off thing. No, literally look at here. Social media, everything, your opinion of everything across every platform. The stock market is 100% manipulated, completely rigged. The crypto exchanges, like the precious metals, like any way for like, I don't want to say like an average person, right, to try to get a foothold and move their way up is fucking, they're trying to put as many roadblocks in the way for you as possible. Like, look at, what do you have to be accredited investor? Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Why is there a thing that's limiting you? And they say it's for your protection. Oh, but yet I can go blow all my money on the stock market or buying like Rocket Coin. There's nothing to prevent me. So it's not about protecting you. It's about preventing you from then, let's say you had $5,000 and you went and were like a angel investor for an early startup company that turns out to be the next Facebook or Twitter, right?
You don't even get the opportunity. Yeah,
correct.
I mean, there's a lot of gatekeeping.
Yes.
I was listening to Grant Cardone's book 10X. It's pretty cool, actually. I think you'd like it. And he talks about it's this concept of like, and I wanted to mention this in one of our episodes before, and I like squirreled off mentally. So there's still like the system where like the serfdom, where the like if you and I weren't like royalty, we would like work a farm, and like we would actually like have to pay the lord a portion of our like we're renting it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, you mean like property taxes?
Yeah, we're like paying for the right to, exactly. We're paying for the right to work this land, right? So now we pay for the right to own our homes on land, right? But it's literally like they couldn't take that same case system and go, all right, well, there's still going to be kings and slaves. So they were like, well, how do we convert this? So it's debt slavery, right? So
yes, 100%.
They keep people in the bubble of, well, you got to take out all these loans, and the average retiree is in their 60s and 70s now, right? You can't live off Social Security. You got to work forever. College loans. I'm still paying off college loans. I could probably pay them off, but like you can write off the interest. But How I Met Your Mother. Anyway, but yeah, no. So whole point being is, I fucking lost my train of thought again. My brain is mush today. What were we talking about?
Well, the last show we were talking about, that's why I was like, they don't teach you. Were like, why don't they teach you finance stuff when you're in school?
Oh, the gatekeeping.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's,
they don't want you
all
to,
part of
to
that.
figure out that you're basically stuck in the rat race, right? That you have to.
And people know the fucking stock market's rigged. Like I actively trade like weekly, and like I know it's rigged. Like I know there's shady shit going on. I was just involved in there's this company called Torchlight that got bought out, and when the company got bought out, all of the shares were converted to non-tradable preferred shares. But some exchange and brokerage created an over the counter, which is like, you know, those OTC stocks, and it became a tradable commodity, supposedly without Metamaterials' knowledge, and it was shorted to the tune of like 80 million, 2080, I don't remember the number. It was like tens of millions of dollars shorted, and they're called naked shorts because they are not actually borrowable shares.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the number of naked shorts was so high by these hedge funds and like large brokerages that instead of making them cover, the SEC closed the stock and rolled it into a new ticker, and like it's worth zero.
Yeah,
like,
so all the retail got left holding the bag and got fucked.
Supposedly
over the
it was supposed to be worth like $100.
Accredited investors and the hedge funds just fucking took all that money. So when people think like, oh, it's a white collar crime, like it's not hurting anyone, like
that, it kind of fucked me over a lot.
That's hurting people.
Yeah,
like
when I lost like what I thought was going to be a lot of money.
Look at how many people got wiped out in 2008 with their retirements, their 401ks. People who were like, shit, I'm about to retire next year, next 5 years, 10 years. Those people are still working because when the stock market tanked and the housing market and things like that, like those people got fucked, and it's about to happen again. Like, dude, we're in that situation. It's fucking worse now. Like
I had so much money in Gemini, and it's like, I'm not happy about that. And like, I just feel like, what can I do though?
Exactly. And the show isn't to like make people depressed. Like, don't let this information be like, oh man, this sounds shitty. I look at it as like, first of all, if you're aware that this stuff's going on, then you can make better informed decisions to protect yourself and just live your life like avoiding these kind of things, right? As well as like we talk about a lot. Oh, if you start seeing the game that's happening and you understand the rules, then you can look at it. Okay, how can I also make money along with this?
Yeah. How do you play the game? And
yes,
because I know I got glum there for a sec but like there's also things that I'm doing, making money in, right? So it's like, number one, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So like Gemini, I didn't put my entire all my money in there. It was essentially my savings account, and it was awesome because it was like 8 to 10%, 8 to 9%. Who the fuck knew the crypto market was going to blow up though? Like some things you can never plan for. So you just have to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to, within your level of risk tolerance. I have a very high level of risk tolerance. So, okay, I fucking lost a ton of money on Terra, but like that was a good lesson. and I was making a ton. I just never cashed it out. Okay, so there's a good lesson there, right? I've had stock market lessons. I've made money in the stock market. That was awesome, right? So it goes both ways. But once you know the game, you're never going to play the game at the level as the hedge funds or the certified investors or the people that know what's going on behind the scenes. But if you understand that limitation and where you can still take advantage of it, yeah, you can. There's so many people that are profiting. It's just you have to be savvy about it.
Exactly. So I will here. I have a couple tweets that I screenshotted just to kind of sum up some of the things that we've been talking about. Let me see here. So with the FBI collusion, so between January of 2020 and November of 2022, so basically like right when Elon bought Twitter, there were over 150 emails between the FBI and former Twitter trust and safety chief, Yoel Roth, I think is his name. But a surprisingly high number of those were the FBI basically instructing on action that they should take for election misinformation. Like basically is what they were labeling the stuff as, but that was their way of censoring and like swaying and cover things up. The federal intelligence and law enforcement reach into Twitter included Department of Homeland Security, as well as security contractors and think tanks to pressure Twitter to moderate content. So basically things that were going against the propaganda narrative that's being pushed out by the government on all these different types of things. Like anyone who was questioning or speaking out against that basically got shut down. And that's the point of a free country, whether you're on the left or the right or middle or whatever, is like open discussion, right? Like someone getting on a platform and saying, even if they're like, the election was stolen, like how is that harming or causing harm to anyone, right? Like that's their opinion. They're throwing it out there to debate. If you feel that's not the case, then you can debate them. So to silence those people, same with all the medical people, the doctors that were coming out saying like, hey, this is new technology. Like, we don't know if these are safe. Like they didn't do phase 3 of these trials. Like, where's the trial data? Let's see it. And they just shut all those people down. Well, if it's trust the science and you don't have anything to hide, like.
And there's so many smart people that are on both sides. So it's like I have a family member who is like really knowledgeable about the health industry. And he was all about the vaccine. And I was like, I mean, I wasn't like rebel rousing, but I just kind of pick his brain about it. But I feel like there's a whole generation of people that blindly trust these companies. Like, yes. Why would they put out something that's bad? Like, well, I mean, they're going to make a ton of money. So,
and
when
they
there's that much money on the line,
cannot be
like
sued.
blurring.
They cannot be sued for it. So now you have something that's people, it's just like all the vaccines that get put on like the childhood vaccine schedule. It's mandatory that your kids have to take it to go to public school. There's
mandatory?
Yes. Like in California and things, in order to attend public school, you have to have all those shots and things at the time they're required to go to public school. And there's no repercussions from the companies if you have side effects. And they make a shit ton of money. So let's see here. Like, that sounds like a setup of where it's like a very big incentive for corruption to happen. And that's what happens, right? Like, to give you an idea, we're the same age. What did we have? Like 7 or 8 vaccines that we had to get when we were kids?
That's a lot. Yeah.
I think mine was 7 or 8.
I don't even remember because you get them so young.
Yeah, but it's not that many. If you go back in like the 80s, like the vaccine schedule is like 7 or 8 vaccines. Now it's like 30 to 50, depending on what state you live in. No, I'm not fucking kidding.
Is that including all the boosters?
This is not COVID stuff. This is like meningitis and what is the cervical cancer one? Like they just keep adding a bunch of shit. And
it's for the those that STD, but it can cause cervical cancer.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then
we didn't get that as kids growing up.
And then first it was only girls had to get it, and there were side effects that they would get from that. And then they were like, boys have to get it too. Also,
I remember. So I actually went to get an STD test when I was a single like bachelor for life guy, and I was like a serial dater. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they were like, yeah, it's like a 3-step thing. And I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm coming back here 2 more times. I'm like, don't even bother. Like, I was just like, not going to happen. Like, I mean, it is what it is, but what is that? HPV.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the other ones that we had when we were younger, they've now made where you got to get like series of them, 4 or 5, which they say, oh, they're in lower doses, but I'm telling you,
I wonder,
and our
do you
parents
think, though,
even had
that,
less,
because we've all been like, okay, let's look at the polio vaccine, for example. We like that's been being given out for so long. Smallpox vaccine, same thing. Like, are there any? Do you think there are any ones that were designed altruistically, or do you think that they just should not? I mean, I'm not saying whether you're anti-vax or not, but I just wonder how much back then it was financially motivated versus now, where it's clearly there's a huge financial incentivization.
So just a background on me personally, I'm up to date on all the vaccines that were required for me growing up. Plus, I got all the ones in the Army. I got like 10 additional shit in the Army. So if anyone wants to debate me, like, I probably have more vaccines than the average fucking person.
They give you guys like all the shit, and also probably shit that's straight up experimental.
Yes, we just literally like show up before deployment. And they're like, all right, you're getting like 8 shots today. Where do you want them? And I'm like, what do you mean where do I want them? Left or right, or like spread out? And I'm like, well, I don't want both my arms to hurt, so you just give them all in one arm. And my arm was literally, I mean,
just that like left arm,
typhoid, yellow fever, Hep A, Hep B, the fucking flu shot, and we got anthrax, which was definitely experimental shit, because the one we're getting, they say, only protects you from if it's injected into your bloodstream, not the inhaling it. Which, guess what the most common way to get anthrax is inhaling.
You know how close someone would have to get to you to inject you with anthrax? It's not like you're fighting with swords.
And guess how many shots are in that series?
At what point
it's
in
like
a
5
gunfight
or
is someone
7.
going to stab you with an anthrax needle? That's pointless.
They're not. It's experimental. So forgive me if I don't believe when the government tells me I have to fucking take this for my own benefit. Like, it's...
Dude, how did you get sick after?
Yes.
Getting all those vaccines?
My arm was like swollen up. I'm not kidding. Like a softball, like huge and hard for 3-4 days. And it was so painful I couldn't even sleep the first 2 nights.
Are you kidding?
I got like
is that
bad
normal?
fever and stuff.
Did most people have that level of side effects?
I don't know. I got pretty fucking sick from mine. There's been stories of people who've died in the Army, like literally within hours after getting their shots like that.
That's
they
mental,
just collapsed
dude.
dead.
That's mental.
I mean, what do you expect when you stick all these viruses, even if most of them are like dead into your body, right? Like, it's overwhelming for them. And then smallpox. But I was like, yeah, I'm allergic to eggs. So then I didn't have to get that.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Because they use...
I guess it's like they use some type of egg yolk or protein or something that's involved in it to make it. So if you're
like
allergic,
if you're
allergic to eggs, like, they won't give it to you because if you start having a reaction, they can't tell if it's from the eggs or the
other shots,
the vaccine.
Got it.
I'll give you an idea. So my son, when he was getting his shots and stuff, he's still little, but I just asked the pediatrician. I'm like, hey, we're cool, like him getting like, the vaccines that he needs to get for the childhood thing. But I was like, I don't want him to get 4 or 5 at once, the same visit. Like, I just only want him to get 1 or 2, and then like I'll bring him back next week and he can get another 1 or 2. And she's talking, like trying to convince otherwise. She's like, oh, that's so inconvenient. I'm like, I don't mind. Like, work from home.
She's going to get more money.
I don't care. I'll pay the $60 for the office visit. Like, I'm more than happy, because I just asked her, I said, what happens if you give him 6 shots? Like, some of his is supposed to get 6 shots at once and he has a reaction. How do you know which one he had a reaction to? So in the future, we'll know. She said, oh, reactions are very rare. So she completely ignored my fucking question and didn't answer it. So that's
just from talking to a lot of clinicians, though, and working in like staffing, I know that like they have like such a skewed viewpoint. Mm-hmm. And so they do see, so she probably does have a good concept of like the statistics just from her, what's it called? Empirical evidence. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that like you're annoying because you're like looking out for your kid. Like, people should have the right to be able to be like, listen, here's how I want to do it because it just makes me more comfortable. Like,
yeah, and I wasn't refusing
get
for
another $60 for fucking office.
To get
I would be like, yeah, come back 6 times, dude.
Yes.
I'll take all that money. Not to mention, the insurance company's paying another whatever $100 per visit.
And my questions weren't like, oh, is this going to give him autism or anything like that? I was just like, if he has a reaction, how will we know it's shot? It's like a very basic question. And she like wouldn't answer.
But that's the thing. And how old is the doctor?
She had 3 kids, I think, and they were like all teenage age. So if I had to guess, she was probably in her like
50s,
early to mid 40s.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that generation, and maybe a little older, they're just like more, they don't question things like starting with our generation does as much. And they're just like bought in on like the Western medicine is the only way. And like, this is good. So
like, I'll give you an example. How many people do you know that will spend hours reading reviews online on like Amazon and things like that before they buy something like a product they're going to use or whatever?
Yeah, I used to be like that. So yeah.
But then we'll go to the doctor and they're just like, oh, you got to get this shot. And they're like, okay, yeah, stick that random, I have no idea what it is, in my fucking arm. Sure.
What?
No questions.
And I've been like that before. Like that's,
but a
strange.
trinket, you're going to use like the little pop on the back of your cell phone. So it'll hold in your hand. You're spend like 2 hours deciding which one to get or whatever, but you won't question like some shit.
And it's like, because it's like frowned upon almost. It's like,
yes. You know how that's driven into you? Through the education system. When you're not supposed to question what the teacher's telling you, you're just supposed to memorize facts and being able to regurgitate them.
The authority figures are like unquestionable. Yeah, dude. And I'm actually really glad, because I feel like you and I were similar in that way. I was a fucking dick to teachers. Like,
me too.
I don't have as much of an authority problem anymore, just because I understand how to work with it. I don't like love it, but I'm not like a dick, because it never plays out well, right? But I was like a fucking asshole to all of my teachers if they tried to like tell me what to do. Especially when the authority figure was wrong, it was like my fucking duty to be like, I remember there was this teacher so there was this like question on it was a religion class. I went to a Catholic school, and all the majority of the kids in the first class got the question wrong. Hey, Cameron, that test you took, what's the question on it? Of course I'm going to fucking ask you. So everyone in the class afterwards, she marked it off on all their tests. So even if like you got it right organically, she was like, well, you're going to get it wrong because you might have cheated. And I fucking threw the biggest fit. I got like pulled out of the classroom, but it was like super unfair, and she was wrong. And I made her look like bad. I almost said the R word. I made her like obviously look terrible in front of the entire class, but it didn't end well. Like those things never end well, right? Like being like, what the fuck are you pulling me over, officer? Like, whoa, I make more money than you. He's like, oh, really? Well, I was just going to give you a warning, but now I'm going to fucking jam you up. Like, it's just not a good way to be, you know?
That's the worst. Like, I'm always very polite to police.
So nice.
And you'd be surprised, man. Usually because they just deal with shit people all day. If you're nice to them, I mean, a lot of times I've gotten warnings or a way less reduced like speed they write on there or something. So,
dude, you should have like a veteran license plate. If I was a veteran, I would have a plate like that or something, so they knew.
So,
or the rim thing.
In the States, they put them. You can get it put on your driver's license, like Arizona does that. Washington,
you have it on there.
At Washington, I don't think I do, but in Arizona, I did. Well, so it'll say veteran.
Dude, you need it.
But my insurance,
that's a freaking instant get out of.
Yeah, but my insurance is USAA, which is like
veteran
and you can
only be a service.
So
member,
as soon as most law enforcement or prior services, as soon as they see I have USAA, they're like, "Oh, where'd you serve?" Like it literally says like my former rank and shit like on it.
That's so cool.
So
dude, that USAA is legit, dude. How do I get that hookup? Do I gotta like marry a fucking army vet
or any branch of the service? But if you have like a former someone who served in your family, like grandfather or great grandfather or someone like that, like you can get eligible that way. So so Logan, and then if he has kids and kids down the line, if none of them ever served, just because I did, they will always be like basically grandfathered in.
Dude, I should get on that. Dude, everyone's grandpa was in the fucking military. I think my grandpa didn't get drafted. He joined when he was 17, and he had his dad or mom sign a waiver so he could get in. He was like gung ho.
Nice. Yeah. All you have to do, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but like,
no, he's dead.
I was going to say
I have his dog tags actually. I just bring those over to USAA.
I wonder if you could get that done that way. I don't know, but I get spam calls from like insurance places and they're like, oh, hey, like you could save all this money. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I have USAA, and there's like, oh, okay, bye. Like they just fucking hang up. Like they can't beat those rates.
USAA is the hookup, bro. Everyone I know has that, and they have like good rates. And like my buddy has do they do credit cards?
Yep.
Yeah, my buddy, he had his fucking MacBook stolen, and they immediately, like he ordered it, and it got like stolen in front of his doorstep, and they like took it off of his credit card. They're like, no problem.
Yeah,
they were like really good.
That's another thing. Like you can find places where your auto insurance is like $29 a month, but excuse me, if you get in a wreck, you're fucked, man. Like they'll literally be like, you got to fill out all the paperwork yourself. Like there's no rep or no one to help you. So when you get
general,
when you get places like that, like be in store, that's what you're waiting for.
Well, it's basically just to prove you have insurance, you can legally drive.
Yes.
Like if you have a nice car or a car that's worth any amount of money, you have to get like regular insurance or you're a complete idiot.
So in California, there's a law, I forget what it is, but there's a special like account you can create, and if you deposit, I forget what the amount is, like $30,000 or $50,000 into that account, that counts as your insurance, and you don't have to have insurance because that fund is like collateral.
Sort of like card that you can give like a police officer. That
I
says,
think there's
like,
something like that. Yeah. So,
but why would you do that?
I don't know. If you're rich and you don't want to like have to have insurance on your like 20 car collection or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Or like all your boats
what a perfect
and shit.
loophole. Yeah.
Because
dude, it's so expensive to insure really expensive cars too.
If something happened to it, yeah, you'd be bummed out. But like, if nothing happens, think of all the money it would cost you, right? For decades and decades.
Especially if you just drive like one of your fucking Lambos like once a year.
Yeah.
Like with that one nice day.
That would be my guess of why they have that. But
that's smart, honestly. Like loopholes like that, I like that's not hurting anybody. Okay, I'm fine with that as long as the rich guy who crashes into me is still like gonna like pay for my shit. Totally fine. Like don't. But like when it's like, you know, the guy has to like the old guy has to like work till he's like 80, something like that, or you know, someone gets hurt. Then I'm like, okay, that sucks. Like some of the Twitter stuff, I think that was inciting violence. I totally agree, but I like what you said about if it's inciting thoughtful debate and like creating an open discussion about like, that's what we need is those people are important to get someone like myself to be like, yeah, that is a problem. I hope that changes or slowly like sway opinions in a positive direction, whether or not I do something, but maybe just my opinion momentum with a mass group of people would be helpful.
So we're getting here to the hour mark. Do you have any final thoughts or I don't know, what's your biggest takeaway for people?
Dude, I honestly want to do more episodes like this because this was so informational for me. And it just went by so fast, and these are really interesting things. I mean, this probably could have been like a 6-hour episode because I could see so many tangents developing, and then we had to like steer them back. If you want, this is fun. I mean, this is interesting.
If you want to talk about conspiracy or corruption things, man, pick a topic. I could talk to you for like a couple hours.
Dude, we should do one thing. I mean, this is essentially that, right?
Yeah.
We should do another one after this. What about you? What are your big takeaways?
My biggest thing is like, if you kind of really boil down, whether you agree with them or not, the people who were the vocal and got banned off, they were just exposing corruption. So if you look at it that way, is like there's a ton of corruption going on, and the people are trying to bring it to the public and make people aware so people can see like they're getting screwed over. I don't know. If you think of it that way, then like you shouldn't be upset. If you're still upset, then I don't know what to tell you. Like that's not the like foundations that America was built on, right? To have like an open and free society. So that would be my takeaway. But I'll be curious to see what people think of this episode. Some controversy and things in there too. But
yeah.
Well, thanks again for everyone who's been listening. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. We'd love to answer questions or comments or whatever people think or feel for their opinions. So let us know. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.